When you said yeah, you went to prison right before the moon landing and you only learned 2 years later that it happened. And I was just thinking about how much things have changed, I guess, since then. I just want to know how you adjusted, I guess, when you got out for real to things like smartphones and everything else that's just you couldn't even have dreamed of before you went to prison.
That is a very good question. When I left the streets, when I left what we call the world, because where we went, I don't know what that place was, but when I left the world, there was no such things as personal computers. There were no PCs. They had computers, but one computer might be as large as a third of this room, with 15 to 20 technicians that operated it, ENIAC. You know what it was. You studied that before. But there were no personal computers. There were no cell phones. There was none of the miraculous technology that is accessible to you guys today. So when I stepped out of the prison, the only reason why I was not totally lost or flabbergasted or bewildered or overwhelmed is because for the last 52 years I've been studying everything I can get my hands on. Once we were able to get the first books into the penitentiary, which we started by protesting, first by requesting them, and then protesting the fact that they weren't being brought in, and then staging sit-ins and strikes and riots, and then getting beat, then getting thrown in the hole, and then enlisting the aid of individuals that were our advocates out in the community, because we're talking about the 60s and the 70s. And you know what kind of period that was. It was a time of climactic change on all fronts, change in the music, in art, in dance, change in politics, change in the economy, change in women's liberation, changes in the anti-war movement and black nationalism. It was change on all fronts. So concurrent with this was a change that appeared in the form of prison reform.
I want to give them a picture, because you're saying the only reason why you weren't flabbergasted when you, it's like the day one, you were able to get a cell phone, a smartphone, iPhone. It was an iPhone.
I got an iPhone my first day home, thanks to Sam and Laurie, my brother and sister.
I just wanted to ask, so I'm currently a student, it's like you, and I'm currently trying to study prison reform, or trying to do research in it. And this question is a little irrelevant to what you were just telling us.
Indeed, whatever it is.
I'm curious, what is the number one thing that you think, coming from your own experience, that could be, what's the number one thing that you wish prisons or incarcerate, how can, here, let me gather my thoughts real quick.
I'm hearing you say.
No.
Go ahead.
I have a hint of where you're going with this.
You understand what I'm saying?
A hint.
I'm trying to ask,
other than eradicating prisons off the face of the earth, what would I like to see done to places like this?
I think eradicating prisons is also, could also be a thought.
The only thing is that at this stage in my growth and development, and the majority of my friends are in prison, the majority of people that I know and respect are in prison. But I am not an abolitionist at this point in my growth and development, only because if we got rid of prisons today, right now, just got rid of them, what would we do with those who just will not abide a civilized society? What would we do? Would we just kill them all? No, we're not going to do that. So, prisons for me, I use myself as a case study. The majority of everything I know about life, about the world, about who I am as an individual, about humankind, about the sciences, about studying about education. The majority of all of this I learned in prison. I said I'm going to tell you a story, a short one. You guys know about Aladdin and the lamp and the genie. Everyone's seen this. If you haven't read the book, then you've seen the story, or they have cartoons. Well, the genie was in prison for 10,000 years. And during that period, he says, whoever frees me, I'm going to make him Lord and Master of the earth. I'm going to enrich his life and his family. He'll never want for anything. No one freed him. Second 10,000 years, he said, whoever frees me, they will govern the solar system. I will build their name until it echoes and reverberates throughout time. Mm-hmm. They would be majestic. No one freed him.
So even with all these promises,
these were not weak promises. He meant this.
Yeah.
And there was another 10,000 years, and he says, whoever frees me, I'm going to make him rule the day that he and his progenitors were ever born. Because I will rain fire and havoc upon his life and upon the life of all his children, his children's children, and his children's children. I will make them rule the day they did not free me. I made up my mind in prison. And once I was freed, I didn't know when that was going to be. But I believed with all my heart that I was going to be freed. But I made my mind up. I would not be the genie after the third 10,000 years.
Like you wouldn't be that angry.
I would not be that bitter, that vengeful, that mean, that hateful. I said I would not let that happen to me. And I am the one that am in control of how I react and respond to life. Whatever life does to me, I'm the one in charge of me. Mm-hmm. If I get angry, I'm allowing myself to do this. Mm-hmm. If I get bitter and recriminating, I'm the one that's doing this.
That's just a really powerful lesson to have.
Of course.
In prison. when everything you do,
yes.
like, you have to ask for permission. You don't get to go outside when you want to go outside. I mean, sometimes even going to an activity, you can't have access to the bathroom.
That's true.
So to have a conviction that this is me, I do have free choice. I am not going to get that bitter.
Yes.
That you learning that in prison, it says a lot. But with that being said, just circle it back to his question. And it's someone online is also asking the same thing. What's something that you would want to see change in the prison system?
I would like to see prisons used as institutions of growth and development, education and corrections, as they're named. These are supposed to be houses of corrections.
It's literally called state correction institutions.
State correctional institutions.
Yeah. And you're saying it's not actually used as a place to educate.
Not by any stretch of the imagination. The individuals that are blessed enough to come home whole is because they adopted this. They did this themselves, for the most part. For the most part, they made this choice. Because that's what I did.
So you're saying in the prison system, even though you've also just given credit that everything you've learned about humanity, you've learned it within prison, it's that it's also the same place that doesn't take correction seriously, and that it is a place of trauma.
Yes. Trauma daily. Trauma at an unparalleled scale. The largest facilities for the mentally ill that exist in this country today, somebody told me what it is.
Prison.
Say it again.
Prison.
prisons. Say, whoa, wait a minute. What do you mean? This is a person with an illness. It's a person with problems. What are they doing in prison? Because that's what happened to them. Their illnesses became criminalized. Their symptoms became criminalized. Their actions in the community or in the home that they had no control over became criminalized.
Their symptoms became criminalized. That's something to think about.
Yes.
I'm gonna let's ask the student. You can go ahead. You can go ahead and say your question now. Yeah.
So one of my questions that I had was, so as you were saying, you wanted to see it from a whole holistic viewpoint, and as soon as people, get out of prison, more likely to reoffend, especially with the trauma that they faced. What about even before they even
No,
get out?
he actually. Hold on. I just want to stop you.
Yeah.
It is a thing to say that they're more likely to reoffend.
Yeah.
He didn't say that. He was just saying
sorry
that.
about
that. I didn't say
That is out there though, and that is another
Oh, yeah.
subject
Yeah.
Right.
where that came from.
But I just wanted to focus on before they even go in, like preventative measures, such as like the judicial system that decides whether they have to go in or not, or even like the enforcement and like the arrestment system that we have in place. Do you think the same sort of like flaws that exist within the prison system extend to those as well, and just like that system?
Of
like,
course it
holistically?
does. I mean, believe me, things were not born in prison. I mean, the kinds of aberrant behavior that we see that from people that are coming home did not necessarily happen in prison. That's a symptom of what's happening in our society today. And when you talk about preventive measurements, of course, if a child is not born evil, a child is not born hating, a child is not born antisocial. He learns these things. And we have to do a better job with our children. I had a shirt, I have a shirt. I wanted to wear it today, but I didn't. And it was from a quote by Frederick Douglass that says, "It is easier to raise a child than it is to fix a broken adult or a broken man."
It's easier to raise a child than it is to, yeah.
I mean, yes. It is. Children want love. Children come out loving. Yet, within a very short period of time, we have in operation systems that propel a child from the playground to the prison.
But I was just wondering what you did to end up with life in prison, and also like how you're here today. How did you get out? And more about your journey with that.
Okay, what I
think
did in Pennsylvania, if you're involved in a crime where someone loses their life, however they manage to lose his life, but you're involved in a crime that precludes this, you can be convicted, found guilty of first-degree murder. Now, you don't have to have had a gun and pull the trigger. You could be standing at the door saying, "What are y'all doing, man?" And a guy does this, bam, the gun goes off and he shoots somebody.
But me, as a person just right next to you in that, I can be tried as...
You can be tried, found guilty, and convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. It's called the felony murder rule. If you go into a store and steal a bag of potato chips and run out, and on the way out, the clerk grabs you and you wrench away from him, he falls and hits his head, you can go to jail for life. So, in answer to your question, I was involved in a crime where that cost someone their life. Was it my intention for this to happen? No. But intentions mean nothing in situations like that. Now, okay, so I'm in jail and I'm doing a life sentence and things are happening, and how did you're sitting here in State College and Penn State University talking to us, how did that happen? You guys have probably heard of, I know you have, Magna Carta, the rule of kings, and the rights of kings to do just about anything that they wanted to do, just by virtue of the king said so. Well, part of the laws that govern us have their beginnings and that concept. So we meted out to the chief executive operating officer of this country, which is the president, something called executive rule. He has the right to pardon or commute the sentence or modify the sentence of anyone in the federal system that he wants to. Now, we've done the same thing to a degree to the chief operating officer of each state, which is the governor. The governor has that same privilege. If and when he wants to, the governor can say, look, that guy over there, he's pointing to whomever, a guy that's doing life, has been incarcerated for 1 year or been incarcerated 52 years. He says, now, free him. And there's nothing anyone can do about that because they don't do it haphazardly. He says, look, based on the amount of time that this person, this man or this woman has been in prison for the crime that was committed and the role that they played in this crime, and everything mitigatingly that they have done over the last 5 decades, I'm going to reconsider his charge. I'm going to reconsider his sentence. I'm going to free him. Well, that's what happened to me. When I say I went into prison when there was nothing there, no books, no radio, no TV, no newspapers, no top, no bottom, no sides to grab, just hanging there. And I helped change that system. I helped to bring rehabilitation in there. I helped bring education in there. The first degree-oriented program that operated within the state correctional institution in Pennsylvania, I was one of the young people that sat around a table, around a cell, and dreamed of, and fought for, and fashioned, and wrote about it, and put the petition together. Said, let's take this to the warden, see if we can get, now this is after we got a GED program in there, so we can get some education on a basic level.
So some people might have the mentality that, oh, these individuals made their bed, they must lie in it. And they tend to have very little empathy for incarcerated individuals and the pressures that they face from the legal system. So I was just wondering if you had a message for people who had that mentality.
A message for them. I will say, God bless them. I will say, I respect their opinion, because everyone is entitled to it. I would also say that these people probably believe in God, and for the most part, a lot of them may be Christian. And you have to remind them what the tenets of Christianity are. This is a Judeo-Christian community and society who believe in compassion, who believe in mercy, who believes in, now listen to this, who believes in redemption, who believes in redemption, who believes in the power of change on a universal or an individual level. Mm-hmm. See what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and we'll go to her.
I don't get into arguments with folks who have that particular opinion, because I've heard it a lot.
You have the mic.
Since you've been out of prison, did you feel truly free or still judged because of your past? And how has that feeling changed from your first few weeks to now?
Well, son, you mind if I hope you don't get offensive, I'll call you son, because undoubtedly you're so much younger than I am. But has it changed from the moment that I was released? Not one bit. I am the genie that was freed after thousands of years. I am so appreciative of life. I'm so appreciative of opportunities like this, that I get to stand in front of brilliant young minds filled with passion, filled with dreams, aims, and goals, and you're on the path that you should be on. And I can tell my story to you in the hopes that, who knows, you might learn something from it. You might say, I'm not doing that. Or you might say, wow, if he can do that, and we can pretty much do anything that we set our minds to. And that's what I tell young folk. You can do anything that you want to do. What you can dream of, you can accomplish. Regardless of what the world looks like around you, regardless of what your homies are saying, regardless of what the environment is around you. Remember I said at one time, I felt that I could control my own destiny. Every one of you can do the same. Mm-hmm. The lesson, I mean, it's not a lesson, but what I tell the majority of every group of people that I talk to is that if you could do any one thing for me or for yourself, what I would want you to do is something very simple. Very simple. We can all do it. Be a blessing. That's it. Be a blessing. We all want to be blessed, don't we? I don't think there's a hand in here in this audience that will be raised and say, well, I don't want to be blessed. I think we all want to be blessed. The surest way I found out that you can be blessed is to be a blessing. And I do that every day of my life with a smile on my face that's huge. I wake up in the morning and say, God, universe, thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you for this opportunity.
Earlier you were speaking about, well, this entire conversation has been about being punitive versus being corrective. And we were speaking about people who have the mentality of these people have made a mistake, they should just be punished for it, etc. And I feel like a lot of us do that to ourselves and put ourselves in our own prison where we go, oh, I failed this hard calculus class, I don't deserve to be an engineer, I'm not gonna try. Or like, oh, I have not been taking care of myself in the gym or things, so I'm just not gonna try anymore, I don't belong with those people. How do you, after a failure or after feeling that you deserve punitive things, what are some tricks or mindsets that one can have to not put themselves down and put themselves in a mindset to correct their mistakes instead of punish themselves?
A good question. Once you realize and believe that you are an amazing part of creation, every living one of you is amazing. Every single one of you is amazing in your capabilities, in your potential, and what you've been given by the Creator or by the universe or by life. And you can achieve anything. You are not measured by the least of your mistakes. You're not measured by your failure to go from A to B. If you didn't go from A to B, then just go straight to C or just go straight to D. Figure out a way to do that. But remember, you are the one that's in control of your destiny. Not anyone else, not what another person thinks, not what another person says, not how another person looks. It's you. So, yeah. I guess that would be my advice. Just realize how wonderful you are.
I just want to ask a question. Did you experience high racial tensions in the system, like as a man of color? And how did you overcome that?
Sister, we feel that everywhere we go, to one extent or another. It's real. Mm-hmm. The world is made up of those kinds of ideas or lack thereof. And we have to find a way to, again, as I said, once you realize how wonderful you are, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. The system can be corrupt. System can be systemically racial and biased. But so what? I'm not going to allow that to stop me. I'm not going to allow that to darken my day or make me do. There's nothing on the planet right now that could ever make me angry again, bitter, dejected, depressed. Nothing. And I've been home 4.5 years now. And life has not been like this. Life has been like life does. This is life. Mm-hmm. And it's as it should be. I don't want the staid complacency of sameness. I don't want to shoot to the manic highs and then only plummet to dizzying lows. I understand that life goes up and it goes down. And when it goes up, I'm soaring. And when it goes down, I use those for lessons to learn from.
Just hearing you speak, you're speaking of an experience of complete adversity that I think it's rare for any of us to hear say that we related to that degree. And I'd assume that there was a stage throughout that period where you felt nihilism potentially, or feel like you lost purpose because of external circumstances that were happening. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to know, at what point did that happen and how did you pull yourself back out for them? Like, what was the spark that revived you in a way from what was happening around you, despite how hard that was, and how can we draw from that?
Oh, well, once I learned how immense the universe is, immense. I mean, we have no understanding, no idea of how immense the universe is. But once I learned that my role in the universe, well, again, as I said, we are amazing creatures. Once I learned that my role in the universe was vital and important and meant something and could mean something not simply to me, because if I just use it from my own perspective, my universe would be so small. But if I expanded that to encompass anybody that I came into contact with, anybody I talked with, anybody I sat and listened with, anybody that I shared with, anybody whose life I touched or who allowed to touch mine, then I had no reason to get down on my knees and grovel other than to pray. You know, so of course I went there, of course. In the course of your own growth and development, you're going to hit bottom. When I say I descended into the 9th level of Dante's Inferno, I did that. But like Dante, Virgil grabbed me by the hand and says, oh, wait a minute, time to go up. It's time to go up. And around me, there were, even in the penitentiary, there were seers and sages and elders and wise men and angels that took me and said, come on. And I never looked back. Never.